It's 88 in Nairobi, 88.8 FM rather, and 90.7 in Mombasa. It is the People's Breakfast, and this morning we want to talk about compensation of victims of protests. There's a debate, obviously, and everyone is asking, is it really necessary? Does it serve justice? Others are also castigating LSK President Fredrick Okango for actually being part of the team that is in charge of compensating victims. Wanasema amesaliti, lakini kwa kweli swali ni amesaliti nani na amesaliti aje? City Muga is in studio with me to help me have this conversation with Fredrick Okango, Public Communications Lead. Fredrick, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you very much, and I think it's my first time here.
It is your first time here. How are you finding the studio, by the way?
I love it.
Is it cozy?
Well, it is okay.
Naona umepatiwa chai ama sijui ni kahawa ama ni kitu kingine. Unajua kuna watu wengine Monday asubuhi they usually want a boost of energy.
On a Monday morning coffee we do.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome to Radio Generation.
I appreciate
it. And we are glad that you're here, and it's an honor as well.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this whole issue of compensation. Everyone is asking, or rather everyone has got different views. Majority of those views, some of them are negative from what I have seen. And I feel like people come from a point of, Kenya right now is very angry. And they're angry at a lot of things. And they're throwing that anger towards sometimes even places where they're not supposed to be throwing it. And I'm of the opinion that people should be compensated, especially those who are hurt during protests in Nairobi. Yeah. So maybe let's start from there. Why are Kenyans unhappy with some of these things that we're seeing?
Thank you. It is true. It is true that Kenyans, some of them are unhappy. It is true that some of them are happy. And let me tell you, for a government to acknowledge wrongs done and go to the extent of committing to compensate the victims, it does not matter who inflicted the pain, but it matters that those who are undergoing pain today, those who are hurt, basically the victims of protests and riots, are compensated. That one matters a lot. And therefore, that is an acknowledgement from the government. And it is not only an acknowledgement, it is a constitutional duty by the state to ensure that such victims are provided for and are protected as per provision of Article 21. Number two, it is also important to note that we are a democratic state. We have different views, we have different opinions. But what is important is, whatever we are doing, is it within the law? I submit that the acknowledgement by the president through the proclamation to form a panel of experts on victim compensation is historic in itself. And therefore, the message we put out there as a panel is that we encourage Kenyans to support this initiative, because this initiative is going to be a healing initiative. It is an initiative that will ensure that the victims not only get compensated but also get justice. If you look at the TORs of the panel, the TORs, one of them being design a framework that will ensure transparent reparation and even compensation. Number two is to engage all the stakeholders, including the families of the victims, in doing this process. And also, where evidence allows, recommend prosecutorial actions to those found culpable.
Really?
Yes, that is part of the TR.
I actually
and
didn't know that.
Number three, provide reports, periodic reports to the president on the process of this, or on the updates of this process. So I am confident enough that with this initiative taking place, led by Professor Makao Mutua and deputized by Faith Odhiambo, those are people that as a panel we believe in, and even the public believe in them. We encourage the public to support this initiative because it is a healing process. Kenyans are hungry. Those who, for one or two reasons, feel that this is not a good process, we encourage them to try and understand and listen to the victims. On Thursday, after the panel and the technical teams were sworn in by the judiciary, the family, 7 representatives of the family, stormed into the meeting. They came in and they said that they have a lot of faith in this panel because they have suffered. They gave their personal stories of the protest, what happened to them. There are 3 women who came there and they all lost their husbands, who are their breadwinners. Today they are just doing manual jobs. They don't know what will happen the next. They have children in school. They don't have a job themselves. It's important that we understand where this is coming from. And therefore I submit that the panel, supported by the public and the government of the day, will deliver not only compensation but also justice to the victims. And
that is where I wanted to go back to, because you said that the panel will do what? When you said, will they investigate or look at, like, what will they do?
They will not investigate.
Okay.
But where evidence permits, after going through their work, they can recommend to the institutions, the constitutional institutions like IPOA, ODPP, DCI, prosecution of those who have been found to have committed some of these atrocities. Number 2, they are also able to recommend legislative and policy measures and even institutional reforms on issues that can stop some of these violence in future. Yes.
Wow. I actually didn't know that, because a lot of people have been saying, there cannot be justice even if compensation is done kama mtu alishutiwa akakufa hajakuwa compensated, then how do we move forward from that? So you give me X amount of money and yet I have a broken leg, or I have a missing finger, or I have a missing limb, or whatever. So here again, just to reiterate on that particular point, are we saying that they shall have the opportunity to look at evidence, or when in their process of just trying to see who to compensate at what point, in case that evidence finds them, they're not going to go necessarily looking for it, but if it finds them, then they will take action on that evidence?
What happens, going straight into this job, the panel will visit all the hotspots in all the counties of Kenya, the 47 of them, to engage with the victims and to listen to them and to understand their needs and their concerns as far as the protests were concerned. Number 2, the victims will be presenting to them data on who they are, where they were shot, if there are people who were maimed, for example, where their family members were shot, were killed, and that data will be verified. That is in the TR of the panel. Upon verification, of course there are instruments of verification. Upon verification, the panel will consider the sources of those conflicts and will recommend to the relevant institutions on what measures to take to stop that in future. Now, the issue of compensation, we understand and we know and we concede it's not enough. It's not enough because if somebody is dead, he's dead. If somebody is dead, he's dead. You cannot bring back life. But let me tell you, the start of finding justice is compensation. That is an acknowledgement. It's an element of justice. It's an acknowledgement that there are people who did something wrong. And in doing so, it is only fair that the state, in the constitutional provision, allow those victims to live a normal life again through compensation. But as they do that, the justice, the long-lasting justice of those who did this to them, must also be undertaken through relevant institutions, IPOA, the police,
ODPP.
The DCI, ODPP. And that's why if you look at the technical committee where I sit, the technical committee consists of various organs and stakeholders. IG, National Police Service is there, IPOA is there, Kenya National Human Rights Commission is there, civil societies are there, the young people are there. It's a mix of different stakeholders, and we are confident enough that some of these solutions will find their way from this team of experts and the panel of experts.
How then will you identify Paul Mongala Mbuvi was actually hurt during a peaceful protest, from Paul Mungala movie was just beaten by some guys in Kawangware mob justice juu alikuwa naiba kuku.
That's why we are saying in the identification of victims, there'll be verification of data.
Okay.
And remember, some of these people presented themselves to the hospitals for treatment. There are those records.
Yeah.
IPOA has records. These are government independent institutions that you cannot question. They do their work independently. They have got the data. Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, they have got the data. Even the media have got the data. So these are all stakeholders that we are going to engage. And we will verify that Paul Mungala movie was a part of the victims in the protest, particularly from 2017 to 2025.
Okay.
Yes.
Because someone might have been a victim of protests but never went to hospital because...
That's a possibility.
Yeah, because... or I didn't report this issue to any police station because...
possibility.
I'm afraid. And then now naona watu wanakuwa compensated, then now I present myself.
And also somebody might be a victim who was never a victim. It's a possibility.
Yes.
So in all this process, the most important thing as per the TORs of the panel is verification of the data presented therein. That data we must have, and we do have, a team, professionals that will verify that data.
Yeah.
And we are going to also engage different government stakeholders, agencies to ensure that
you have legit individuals.
And we also don't leave out legit cases where possible. You know, it's a process that requires the engagement of all citizens. This is a national concern. It's a national duty. If you know anyone that you know was a victim and for whatever reasons did not present himself or herself to the hospital or record a police OB, and they are genuine and there are documentation to that effect, those are people that should come out. We encourage them to come out, and so that they can get justice.
Does this include victims or individuals that were disappeared and then reappeared, or they are not part of this compensation package?
Victims.
Yeah.
Any victim of protests, riots, those are victims that the Gazette notice covers.
Okay.
And therefore they will be looked at in totality.
So abductees will be?
They are victims.
Okay.
Yeah, they are victims.
All right.
And you see, you know, we're not talking about self-abductions. We're talking about people that believe, you know, they underwent this process, and are the genuine cases. And I can tell you, there are methods and processes of verifying and ascertaining these cases one by one. And that process has been done before in other countries. You saw in South Africa, it has been done in Nigeria, Lagos. All these things, we have seen them. But let me tell you something that I also want to say. The victims are not only the civilians. Our National Police Service are also victims. We saw police officers. Some of them died in the process. Some of them were injured. Some of them lost their limbs and hands. These are Kenyans. They are brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. They are part of this process. We also encourage, and this for the first time, we are seeing a process where even officers are compensated because they are also part of the process, and they were contributing one way or another to quell this violence. And for those who shall be found to have committed crimes, to have perpetrated some of this violence, there will be institutions that will take action against them. We are happy today. Already there are some inquests going on. There are cases in court. But for us as a panel, we are an advisory committee. We are a facilitative committee. We are not usurping the role of any independent commission, independent institution, independent office. No. Our job, as per the Gazette notice, is to facilitate and offer advisory services to the executive on the basis of compensation of victims of protest and riot.
All right. So at no one point will you say, for example, again, Mungala movie deserves 500,000 for the injuries that in terms of damages that he alipatikana nazo wakati wa maandamano. Yours is just to say Mbuvi is a legit case, he deserves it, his case is loss of limb, for example.
Well, the panel of experts is mandated to design a framework. Within that framework, it will also indicate how best can we compensate Mbuvi.
Yeah.
How best can we compensate Mbuvi? And that framework includes even, how much should he be paid if he's supposed to get money? Should he go psychological, care? Should he be given some form of counseling and so on and so forth? That is part of the framework that the team is going to design.
Okay.
So it's not all about money.
Yeah.
It's about so many things. And also, if Mbuvi, for example, was shot, and there are police records showing that he was shot, and there are culprits that have been apprehended, then prosecutorial recommendations will be put across to the relevant authority so that Mbuvi can find justice.
Now, there's this issue and situation whereby a lot of victims, some of them even the ones that were at KNH, we saw them saying the bullets were recovered or were extracted from their bodies, but there's no evidence of, so because the bullets have been taken away, that means there's no evidence that this person was shot, and even the police, they distance themselves from that particular situation. So how do we deal with that person? Because again, we are trying to follow evidence. Say Mbuvi was shot, here's the bullet that shot him, even the doctor's report says this is the bullet that we extracted from him, and this is the exhibit. You exhibit Aiko. Now what do we do?
You see, the panel of experts is not an investigative body. They are investigative bodies. The police are there, IPOA are there, and even Kenya Human Rights Commission, they are there. Yeah. That is their job. For the panel of experts, their role is to ensure that they develop this framework, that those who shall have been found to be the victims through verification of the data therein shall be compensated. So with that, we leave it to the police, we leave it to the IPOA, we leave it to the other DCI agencies to ensure that they go to the bottom of it and identify those victims as the true victims and bring them forth for compensation.
Yeah.
This is forming a structure within which you can look at all and every cases that relate to these matters under discussion, and you will know this is what you do when these things happen. Remember, we have had issues of this nature from the time before independence. Okay? When people are talking about the second liberation, there were issues that arose with the disappearances.
Yes.
Cases were taken to court. There are instances where people were actually compensated, okay, like those who were detained in the Nyaga House dungeons and so forth. But there did not exist a structure that could be looked at as a reference point whenever this thing comes about. We do have a Commission of Inquiry Act, okay?
Yes.
Cap 102 rather, which enables you to, well, it gives you footprints that you can follow if you want to go about this business. Now, a panel of experts now takes it a step further. It ensures that there now exists, meaning every time an issue of this nature arises. For instance, when you talk of insurance, do you know how insurance works?
Yes.
They take the time to go into the details of whatever it is that they want to insure, and they tell you what they will insure, how they will insure it, when they will insure it, and if there's need for compensation, how that also comes about. This is the insurance. We haven't had it.
Yes.
It has not existed. Yes. All we know is that people take cases to court. And then there's the argument of, do we really know of all the people who were harmed? Recently, we had also a panel of experts that was set up by the Ministry of Health looking into the issue of kidney transplant. They were given a time frame and said, look, I want you to look into this thoroughly and come up with the findings and tell us this is what we have found and make suggestions as what we should do next. Whenever these things happen, there's a gap.
Yeah.
You may talk about it, but the reference point that has a legal background doesn't exist. Now, having said that, let me ask the question. What is the historical context that this panel of experts are going to be looking at?
Well, I think it is important to note that as a country, we have witnessed, we have read, we have seen so many instances where the public, members of the public have been injured through demonstrations or public riots, if you like, and they have never been compensated. But having said that, the Gazette notice gives the frame, I mean, the outlines from 2017 to 2025. Now, the historical context is that instances, not only in this country, instances where state has acknowledged wrongs done and has gone to the constitution or the supreme law of the land and looked at the provisions of that law that allow the state as having obligations to compensate such people, have been there. I gave an example of South Africa that was led by Desmond Tutu. I gave an example of Lagos, Nigeria. I gave an example of Sierra Leone. All these things have been done before. However, in our country, we know for sure that there are victims that are still existing from, you remember those who call themselves Mau Mau? Some of them were still looking for compensation to date from the British government. That has never happened. And if it has happened, not all have been compensated. So I believe that the panel of experts will be trying to look at the best way possible from history, where this has done, I mean, where this has been successful, and even in the country where certain cases have come up genuinely and they have presented a case before. And also, there are also court cases that have been concluded and the court have made determination that such people should be compensated. All these things will be put together to see what will be the best framework that will ensure not only people being compensated through money, but they get justice by long-lasting justice, and also counseling, because some of these guys are very young. If you notice, they're very young. And let me take you back in the most recent cases, the Gen Z protest. Most of the victims are young people. They were running away from the police. They never stayed home. They feared for their life. Some of them were shot by gang. Some of them were shot by the police. And you notice that at that time, there was nothing much that they could do. They could only hide. So it is important that they get psychological care so that they come out in the open and tell the public and the panel that this is what happened and this is why we need this help. So in terms of historical context, it's not all within Kenya. The panel will be looking at even comparative analysis with other countries in Africa and even outside Africa. What has been done before and how best, what is the best practice to do this? You admitted, City, that, this has not been done before. We have laws in this country, Victim Protection Act, we have victim compensation, yes, whatever. But you see, those, if you look at it keenly, they only complement a determination of a court, where the court now makes a determination that CT is a victim of state torture and these are the rewards that CT should get. In this instance, it is a protest. It's what we call a public protest, public riot, demonstration. So you are not just any other person who was pursuing a cause, and then you are arrested and then you are detained for 9 years. No. You are somebody who was demonstrating by the provision of Article 37, and you were shot, for example, and then you went missing because you feared for your life. Then you came out and say, here I am, I was shot. Where are the medical records? They are here. Such instances are not provided for in law, and therefore it's only important for the president to ensure that he puts a multi-sectoral agency through an advisory committee like a panel of experts to advise him, to advise the executive on the best approach. The best approach would be, and I agree with the president, to bring a team together, a constitutional offices together, like this panel that brings now as co-opted experts from IPOA, DCI, National Police, civil society, and even LSK, that now we can address this issue looking at the existing law, the existing evidence, the existing cases, benchmarking from other countries where it has been done before, and ultimately get justice. And even after this, the panel could recommend legislation on this issue so that Parliament can now enact a law that will, going forward, ensure that whenever such a thing happens, we have a framework that will, for sure, deal with the issues of compensation in this country.
What is the length of time that this group of experts will exist? What have the time frame have they been given to conduct their affairs?
If you read the Gazette notice, this is an advisory committee that is time bound. It has 120 days. 120 days. And they are not starting from zero. Because the reason why the other government institutions were brought on board as key technical experts, IPOA, National Police, Kenya Human Rights Commission, LSK and the rest, is because they already have data. We even have doctors from Kenya International Hospital in this. If you read the Gazette notice, they already have data of these people. They have information of these people. So within 20 days, we believe the Macau-led panel will do justice to this process, because we will start from where we know as we go to where we don't know. So that compensation must be prompt. It must be immediate.
Do you think 120 days is sufficient?
I believe with the information that the panel already have, it's a good starting point.
Okay.
But the Gazette notice also says, in the event that that time will not be enough, they can ask for more time.
Okay.
They can ask for more time.
Yeah,
but I believe the panel is suitable and competent enough to ensure that they expedite on this issue and conclude this issue within 120 days. I believe they can do that.
You know, we have the TGRC report. We have the Waki Commission report. I'm just giving two examples. It isn't as though some of these issues have not been looked into. If you're talking about the suffering that the public have in the hands of either the police force or in the event of civil unrest. But the thing that I would like to understand is, when we talk about compensation, I understand compensation. Justice is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
For the victims and the families, because if you are dead, then it's your family, to understand that justice has been served, what needs to happen? How will we look and say, right, justice here has been served?
Yeah.
City, the element of justice comes in this way. You know, this panel of experts has got the functionality and the legality. But the element of justice is a functionality element, in the sense that for justice to be seen to have been done, or justice to be seen to be done, there must be clear rewards and there must be clear punishment to those who did the wrongs. The proclamation by the president was an acknowledgement that here something went wrong. And the state has agreed that for sure we must go back and look at these wrongs and correct them through finding justice for the victims and compensating them. I concede, compensation alone is not enough, but justice must be found either way. And that's why we are saying the panel in their work will ensure that as they interact with the families of the victims who are paining today, they must also ensure that these families find justice on whatever form it is. And one of them could be recommendation of prosecution of those who have been found by the police to have committed these atrocities. That is one element of justice. The second element of justice is there could be a lady who has lost a son, a mother, a husband, a father, and they are traumatized. They are traumatized. And one of the ways of settling them is to take them through counseling. By the way, the panel also has a psychologist who will be helping in this. Take them through counseling. And even the state could recommend that for such people to start a new life, might give them some seed capital to start businesses so that they bring their life together. So I believe that the element of justice is more important. And that's why we are saying we do have faith in this process as Kenyans, because it is a process that is all inclusive. If there's something that all Kenyans believe in today, they believe that victims of protest should be compensated. Where people differ is what format should it take? Who should be involved? How do you identify them? And that's why the panel has been mandated to go and develop and design a framework that will ensure that all these are addressed and it is transparent and it's accountable. That is what we are looking at.
City, acha nikuulize. Say you were abducted by whoever abducted you. They took you to the room that they took you to, and they did the things that they did to you. Then here is the panel that is supposed to look into your case so that you can be compensated and probably deliver the justice that you're looking for. I wonder if they will actually get the officers or individuals that actually took you forcefully from your car, from your home, from your school, from your work. And I wonder whether at the end of this process, because I'm sure that is not something that Kina Fred will do, but at the end of the day, if they will capture those individuals that abducted you, take them to court and put you on the opposite side of them, and then they ask you, City, do you identify any of the gentlemen who took you from your home? And you say, yes, I can see that gentleman over there, and I see that lady over there, and I also recognize that other man over there. I actually wonder if that will happen. I don't know. City, do you see that happening?
I do.
You see it happening?
I do see it happening because there's historical evidence to actually prove that this has actually happened.
It doesn't mean in this country?
No, not in this country.
Okay.
It doesn't have to have happened in this country. If we look at a reference, we're given references across Africa.
Yeah.
You're talking about Sierra Leone, you're talking about South Africa, you're talking about Nigeria. Latin America, in the 20th century, 1976, you're talking about 1973, the period of time when state terror was profound on the citizenry. The word they disappeared. That is where we got those words, like in Argentina. They were, my friend, pioneered this. Okay? Leaders like Pinochet, Agustino Pinochet. Now, one assumed that some of these matters would remain quiet. Not so. People who now are at the age where their grandfathers are being brought to book. And when you talk about the disappeared, you are talking about people who vanished, and not two or three. That's why they call disappeared. One moment they were walking to work, and then they simply vanished.
Never to be seen again.
Families didn't have closure. These issues have been unearthed, and people are being brought to book. Being brought to book doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow or the day after. These processes have a way of turning around things in ways that you couldn't have imagined. In the same way that the people who committed and perpetrated these ills did not think a time will be
will come when
they'll be held, when they'll be asked to account and say who was in charge of this place. It will be known who were the people who are sent out at this particular point in time. Who belonged to this unit that has since been disbanded. Where did they go to? All these things are documented. It is a question of has there been sufficient willingness for people to follow these things up? Remember, you're talking about trauma that was inflicted by state officials. Matters of state are documented, Chief. You may think they are not. They are documented. You know who works where. You know who's allocated. It is known. Even if it's not spoken of, it doesn't mean it's not known. Those who know keep quiet. Times come when people speak of these things. So you're asking me the question, do I think they'll be brought to book? Yes. Not I think. I know they'll be brought to book.
Okay.
And also, let me just add on something that City has said. You see, these injuries that are arising from protest crackdown are not attributable to the entire executive in its capacity as an institution.
Yeah.
But specifically to individual officers or state agencies that committed these crimes.
Okay.
But the state is constitutionally mandated not to wash their hands off this, but to ensure that those victims get justice. So even if the culprits are state agents, The state as an institution has a constitutional obligation to ensure that they reparate, they compensate, and they find justice to the victim. The victim could be a state agent. The victim could be a citizen. The victim could be a foreigner. That's what we are saying. We believe, as a panel, that it is time that this country heals. One of the healing processes is acknowledgement that there's something that went wrong. Secondly, it is important that the state ensures that even as they compensate these victims, even as they set this panel, even as they do all this, we don't go back where we're coming from, because we'll be going round and round and round. And that's why some of the TORs in the panel is to do recommendations. And those recommendations will find their way in Parliament. It is only Parliament that is mandated to make laws. So if Parliament look at the recommendation and enact laws that can now guide going forward, we shall have moved a step forward. And that's why we encourage the public. Please, support this process. This is our process. This is our country. Those who died, they are our brothers and sisters. Those who were injured, they are our brothers and sisters. They are our children. Let's support the process, but even if we support it, let's get genuine cases that deserve compensation.
After the 120 days, assuming after 120 they've done everything that needs to be done, they've checked all the cases, and they have a list of, say, 1,000 people, and they say these 1,000 people are the ones who are supposed to be compensated. What is the next step? Now, do people start receiving checks?
Now,
yeah, what happens?
The panel, in my knowledge and observation, the panel will not wait for 120 days to start compensating. The panel is moving. They'll start compensating immediately for as long as the data has been verified. The design is there, and that case fits within the framework. They will proceed and start compensating, because there is already money that is going to do this job. In fact, Professor Makau, our chairperson, believes that the sooner we start this, the better for the country, because those are people that can no longer wait. That justice must be found immediately. The compensation must happen immediately. And to answer you the second part of the question, what happens after 120 days? We strongly believe that at the end of the 120 days, then we shall have finished with all the victims of protest and violence from 2017 to 2025. And we shall have recommended to the relevant institutions what should be done going forward. And if there is evidence that is pointing at people who committed some of these crimes, then prosecutorial actions will be taken against them. And the president also will communicate this to the public to ensure that the public know exactly what has been done and where we are going. If you remember, in Raila Odinga's journey to democracy, these are some of the things that he has been talking about. Victims, their compensation. If you look at the 10-point agenda, part of the healing, this is part of it, of the process. If you look at the Zani-led committee, these are some of the things that they will be looking at. So, time is of essence. And I strongly believe that Professor Makau Mutua-led panel will do justice, not only to the victims, but also to the country, so that the country believes that this is the way to go in future.
There are some people obviously who've not stood, but sued the country, the state. They've sued government. They've sued the police. For some of the things that happened to them from 2017 to date.
Correct.
So now what happens to those individuals? Will they have to stop their cases to be considered for compensation, or will the panel award these people damages even as their cases in court continue?
I said earlier, the panel of experts on victim compensation is an advisory committee, is a facilitative committee. It is not in any way going to usurp the role of independent officers like judiciary and other commissions. Not at all. It will not do the work of the police. Not at all. It will not do the work of investigative agencies. Not at all. But the panel will look at the information before it, will go and get that information from the relevant government agencies and act on it as a panel and advise on way forward. Those cases that are in court, they will proceed to their conclusion, because it is the duty and the obligation of the court to do that. So we will not get into that. However, we do believe there are genuine cases, whether they're in court or outside court, they are genuine cases. And upon verification and finding that these are genuine cases, they'll be rewarded as per the framework developed by the panel.
Okay. Because I'm assuming someone is probably listening, or when the
absolutely.
When the president did unveil this panel, and let's say it's me, Mungala Mbuvi, I have this court case between myself and Officer CT who shot me, and now sina vidole tatu. And this case is ongoing. So I'm thinking, do I first of all, exit this case so that I can deal with the panel, or do I continue the case and wait for the panel to come? Because will there be like double compensation? Because if the court ends up awarding me 10 million shillings, for example, and then the panel comes and says, we mbuvu sulishaenda kotini ukalipo 10 million. So we kunaja tunadili.
Yeah, I agree. We're likely to have such cases. They're there. But I think in the wisdom of the panel, because the panel is a wise panel also. They look at ways of navigating that and recommending. And if it's an active court case, then the only prudent thing to do is to allow the court to go to the bottom of it.
Okay.
To allow the court to go to the bottom of it. But the reason why it's called public protest, some of these issues are not in court. They are in the public out there. Somebody was shot. He was taken by an ambulance to the hospital.
Yes.
He was treated and discharged. So there is no court case. Straightforward matter. Somebody was killed, and the family members went, picked the body from the mortuary and buried that person. Straightforward matter. Very unfortunate, but straightforward matter. Those are issues that the panel will deal with immediately. And that's why Professor Makau Mutua says we must go into the compensation immediately, because there is data that can be verified. There is data that can be verified. However, it is important that the panel goes out there and engages the families, goes to the hotspots, the 47 counties. Professor Makau Mutua panel is going to go and listen to them as a facilitative process and get their ideas, get to know what is this, what happened, where is the evidence, where is the documentation, then come back and say, upon visiting these families, engaging them, talking to them, or even invite them, these are the findings, and now we base our compensation on the findings that are actual facts.
Okay.
Correct.
Because CT, I'm looking at a situation whereby I went to court, and probably I was awarded 5 million by the courts. Whether I've received it or not is a different story.
Yes.
Then the panel comes and finds out, and from the investigation they realize, no, this person should have actually been awarded 20 million. So what happened?
Remember, the panel doesn't award.
Yes, it recommends.
This has been said
advises.
over and over. It's an advisory committee. It's they advise.
Yes.
I want to ask about those serving as police officers. Where there's been injury in line of duty, where there's been injury and death, because we've had situations and the numbers have increased where we are told a police officer, for some reason or the other, due to some influence or the other, shot an officer, shot a senior officer, shot a civilian in a public place. How are we going to consider this? And there's a reason why I'm asking this question. There has always been the matter of understanding the trauma that the policemen and women undergo in their day-to-day duties, and there was talk of forming a committee that would ensure that they get counseling services over time. There were discussions around that matter. Now,
even Dr. Matiangi told them not to intermarry within the force.
Dr. Matiangi should keep his opinion to himself. He should. You cannot have a panel of experts of this magnitude and nature who are looking at trauma caused to the public predominantly by state officials like police officers, without looking at the state of mind and the ecosystem that fosters the state of mind that the police are in. Yes.
I agree with you. But as I agree with you, allow me, I just want, because there's something you have said.
It's okay, continue.
I just want to read to you the terms of reference as so that we pick it from there. As per the Gazette Notice number 179, special issue that was issued on 25th August 2025. Now, this Gazette Notice Part 2, design the reference of the panel shall be to number 1,
yes,
design and establish operational framework to verify, categorize, and compensate eligible victims, only eligible victims.
All right.
Number 2, engage with the relevant stakeholders, including families of victims, state institutions mandated to address human rights issues, civil society organizations, and religious institutions to ensure inclusivity and fairness in the compensation process. Number 3, authenticate data on eligible victims from authoritative sources, including IPOA,
yes,
Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the National Police Service, the Ministry of Health, and civil society. Number 4, where evidence so warrants, recommend reparations, prosecutions, or other appropriate accountability measures,
yeah,
to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution and other relevant oversight bodies, and propose legislative and institutional reforms to address protest and culture of policing. And lastly, prepare and submit to the president periodic progress reports and a final report. I want to now pick from where City has left. Where evidence so warrants, recommend, reforms. One of the institutions that everyone believes in this country demands for reforms is the institution of the police.
Yes.
The institution of the police, because police is a constitutional body that is mandated to keep law and order.
Yeah.
And that's why you realize that every time there's protest, riots, the police are involved. And in one way or another, you do find out that some of the police officers have been found to have committed crimes by shooting, killing, But those are issues that they are institutional or independent bodies that are dealing with. For the panel, it will be important to understand if, for example, the panel visits the family of somebody who was killed from a police gun, and that matter is in court, and maybe the court has come out and said, hey, we found this to have been a clear case where a police shot so and so. Of course, we don't have that as per now. We have not found those findings. But assuming that happens, then there will be a recommendation on how to deal with the police officers of that nature in future. And what would have been the cause? Is it an issue of maybe trying to find out the well-being of the police, the welfare of the police officers?
Yes.
Are they trigger happy because maybe they are suffering? Are they stressed? Are they? Should we look at how they can be? The policing framework can help them manage crowds better.
Yes.
Those are issues that will come from all these experience. And I believe that we have an opportunity as a country.
Yeah.
As a country, we have an opportunity to come forward and make some of these strong recommendations that will see us in the future. But lastly, I'm also aware that the public are waiting. They would want to see what is the nature of compensation, who is to be compensated, how much is the compensation, and why is it that not only the civilians are compensated but also the police. And I explained that. So the panel, as we go forward, will be giving the public updates on what is happening, where we have reached, what we are doing, where we are going, and we want to encourage the media to be a partner. We have seen a section of the media have gone rogue. They are now trying to, make sensational headlines about a member of our panel. For whatever reasons, we want to ask the media. They are our partners. We have worked well with them before. And we have seen how the media is powerful. This is a narrative that we cannot drive falsely or wrongly. It's a narrative that we must drive with accountability and we must drive it with the sobriety.
Yeah.
I know there's an issue raised of Faith Odhiambo.
Yes.
And I know maybe I might not leave this studio without talking about it.
Please do.
Let me tell you, while there is divided opinion on how Faith Odhiambo is a participant, and as this is my personal opinion as Okango, that Faith Odhiambo is a Kenyan. Faith Odhiambo is a respected lady. She leads an institution called LSK, an institution that is charged with protecting law and order. Faith Odhiambo was in the midst of this. She was one of the ladies that was admired, or is still being admired, for standing firm with the victims. It is only fair that we give Faith Odhiambo a fair chance. We have faith in faith. We believe in faith. We have faith that Faith Odhiambo, being part of the panel, will be instrumental in ensuring that the victims, that some of them she represented in court, some of them her institution that he leads, the LSK, represented in court, will ultimately find justice. Because she is now fighting from within. She sits in a panel that is going to do this job. She is capable, suitable, and competent enough to offer this service to the country. And therefore, we encourage, we support, and we have faith in faith.
Personally, I have no issue with faith, and I wish her all the best. There's a question here from Nala. She's asking, who should be held accountable for injuries or losses during protests? The state, individuals, or organizers? Perhaps you'll let us know on that one. Then there's another one here from Titus kutoka Imara Daima, anasema, kindly ask Okango, how can the government balance the right to protest with the need to maintain public order without infringing on civil liberties? So we start with the one for compensation. Who will be held accountable for the injuries? Is it individual police officers? Is it the police, the National Police Service? Is it the state? Who will be?
Let me tell you, crackdown on protests, as I said, whether they are state organized, state inflicted, but there is an individual who causes such harm. If evidence points at an individual, it is individual responsibility. And that's why today we have an inquest going on. Who is appearing in the dock? Individuals. It's not the state. The state is mandated by law to ensure that they offer protection to the citizens. And therefore, to this extent, it is the duty of the state to protect. And in protecting, they also compensate if those cases are verified.
Titus Ibaradaima, kindly ask Okango, how can the government balance the right to protest with the need to maintain public order without infringing on civil liberties?
The Constitution of Kenya states that every state organ and every person is bound to protect and uphold the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? The Constitution says in Article 37 that freedom of of demonstrations is there, and people are allowed to protest unarmed, peaceably, present petitions. That is a right that you cannot take from anyone. Not even the state can take it from you. And therefore, the state has a duty to protect those civil liberties through processes like this, and ensuring that even as we compensate victims, even as we recommend legislation on this, we do not claw back on the gains that are in the Constitution of Kenya. We cannot do that. The panel has got distinguished scholars like Professor Makau, Faith Odhiambo, Dr. Juang, Maina, Suba Churchill. Those are people that are experienced in this. And even Ogeto is there, former Solicitor General. We have got very many people who are knowledgeable and will be advising as we go ahead on what to do. But one thing I have to assure the public, the panel is not going to change the law. The panel is not going to usurp the role of the commission. The panel is not going to do the work of IPOA or Kenya National Human Rights Commission. No. The panel is a facilitative committee. It is an advisory committee that is going to advise through an executive proclamation that this panel should bring together the multi-sectoral units to allow the process of healing, to ensure that genuine victims are compensated and they ultimately find justice.
Thank you so much. Even supermarkets, the ones that were damaged.
Victims.
Okay.
Victims.
That is Fredrick Okango. Thank you so much for coming through, and pass our regards to the committee. We hope that, is it a committee or commission?
It's a committee.
It's a committee. All right.
Panel of experts.
All right. Pass our regards to the panel of experts. Let them know that we are watching, and we hope justice indeed
and your partners
shall be delivered. Yes, of course, we are partners. All right. Thank you so much.